Pharmacist Ben Fuchs has been a, mainline pharmacist for a long time and one of the biggest compounding pharmacists in Colorado. He's developed a lot of things used nationwide, and he's one of our advisors here on air, along with medical doctors like Dr. Joel Wallach, but also people like Dr. Russell Blaylock, MD, who's a brain surgeon. He was the first I ever heard about, I don't know, more than 10 years ago on my show, talking about how the statin drugs are basically eating people's brains. So we're told any type of fat, any type of cholesterol is bad, and then we wonder why the degenerative diseases in brains are exploding. Now, I say that's the first time I heard about it as a talk show host. I remember, because I have an epileptic uncle from a motorcycle accident, I remember him saying, hey, I'm not having as many seizures anymore, I don't take as much medication because they put me on certain type of fats. And that was when I was in high school 22 years ago. So this is actually known. And then you have Ted Anderson, who allows me to tell this story. His dad, Ted Anderson, who owns the Genesis network that I've been on for 15 years, his dad got on the Youngevity products that we have at InfoWarsHealth.com, and he got on the essential fatty acids, the OsteoFX, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and went from not knowing who he was and couldn't go fishing to the sores on his arms healing, knowing who he was. It was miraculous. But the doctor said, no, you're not allowed to take the EFAs. You're not allowed to take Beyond Tangy Tangerine. It has vitamin K in it. Never had a stroke, never had a heart attack. They have him on Coumadin. Basically, he has scurvy. So I saw that happen. But I want to play this clip and then get to this, because this is the cholesterol conspiracy. And it ties into the statins, but also how they're reversing, in many cases, Alzheimer's now with just coconut oil, but then with the different types of essential fatty acid oils from seeds, other things. We're going to get Ben Fuchs, compounding pharmacist, nationally syndicated radio host on Genesis, the hour before me every day. The Bright Side. Fuchs is registered pharmacist, nutritionist, cosmetic chemist, and founder of Econo Comp Pharmacy and Rocky Mountain Natural Laboratories. And he joins us now. BrightSideBen.com is one of his websites. You can find all his videos and info at InfoWarsHealth.com. But before we go to him, I set him up last week for the Sunday show. But I'm driving yesterday afternoon. I hear Kenny Romeyer, who does weekday shows but also weekend shows, with these compounding pharmacists. Sometimes on that show they have doctors on. They were playing a clip from CBN, national television, saying something I already knew about what getting people on the proper oils and fats is doing for people with Alzheimer's. Now, I've seen it, but the doctors say, no, do not do that, because that would then cut into their money. So we're going to get pharmacist Ben Fuchs to break this down, but here's a few minutes. I'm going to post the full report up at InfoWars.com. In fact, it's being posted there right now. Here they are on CBN, of all places. That's Pat Roberts' big network, breaking this down. Here's the report.
Steve Newport's Alzheimer's disease has slowed considerably. Some of his symptoms even reversed, thanks to an unlikely treatment prescribed by his wife, Dr. Mary Newport, a physician who runs a neonatology ward at a Tampa, Florida hospital. She became determined to help her husband after he failed the so-called Alzheimer's clock test.
He drew a few little circles and several numbers, just in a very random pattern. Didn't really look anything like a clock. And the doctor pulled me aside and she said, you know, he's actually on the verge of severe Alzheimer's at this point. He's beyond moderate. So that was very, very devastating news.
Dr. Newport began learning everything she could about her husband's disease.
It appears to be a type of diabetes of the brain. And it's a process that starts happening at least 10 or 20 years before you start having symptoms. And it's very similar to type 1 or type 2 diabetes in that you develop a problem with insulin.
In this case, insulin problems prevent brain cells from accepting glucose, their primary fuel. Without it, the cells eventually die. But there is an alternative fuel, ketones, which the cells easily accept. Ketones are metabolized in the liver after you eat medium-chain triglycerides, which are found in coconut oil. So Dr. Newport added coconut oil to Steve's diet. Just 2 weeks later, he took the clock test again, and as you can see, demonstrated stunning improvement.
I thought at the time, was it just good luck? Was it a lot of prayer? Was it the coconut oil. And I thought, well, we're going to keep the coconut oil going.
Then 3 weeks later, he took the clock test a third time and continued to get better. And it wasn't just intellectually, he also improved emotionally and physically.
He was not able to run. He was able to run again.
All right, let's stop right there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't get leafy vegetables, vitamin C, your skin opens up, you get scurvy, you start bleeding to death. Old wounds open up, you become mentally retarded. Now, pharmacist Ben Fuchs, this is the type of stuff on CBN. I'm hearing this on local radio now. So the good news is it's breaking out, but it's only a small part of it, and you are the expert because, believe me, I've done my research. Dr. Blaylock calls it a basic chronic inflammation from vaccines, heavy metals, not enough, healthy fats. He says these low-fat plus the statins literally eat your brain. What is your take on this? We're going to break in 3 minutes, but I wanted to play that to introduce you to get into the cholesterol conspiracy where we're told cholesterol, fats are bad. But go ahead and break it down for us. What's happening here?
I'll break it down in one sentence for you, Alex. Cholesterol is the most versatile, functional, and vital chemical in your body. It protects your body, it builds your body, it's a precursor to all of your growth and repair and youth hormones. If you wanted to systematically destroy the health of a population, you couldn't do it better than to convince them to take poison drugs to suppress their body's ability to make this critically important stuff.
And they're acting like this lady discovered it. Well, she discovered it for herself doing some searches, but this has been out for decades and decades. And that's what makes me angry. The medical system knows this.
Well, she was talking about something very interesting called the ketogenic diet. And the ketogenic diet is something that I've been talking about for many years. And it's something that we've known, medical folks have known as effective for seizures for many years. Seizure disorders, which are obviously a brain.
Yeah, that's what they told my uncle 20-something years ago.
Yeah, the ketogenic diet is tried and true. But what happened about the 1930s and 1940s, basically the 1940s, pharmaceutical manufacturing and pharmaceutical science really advanced to a degree where they could manipulate the body so powerfully and so effectively and with such high profit margins, because these chemicals are so cheap, that all of these things like the ketogenic diet and coconut oil and using nutrients to treat diseases kind of went by the wayside as we got not just us, but doctors in medical schools and pharmacists in pharmacy schools got convinced at the professional level that anything that wasn't high tech, that wasn't pharmaceutical, that wasn't developed in a laboratory somewhere was primitive.
Sure. Well, that's like white bread. When my mother was a kid in the 50s,
same idea.
She would see signs saying, untouched by human hands, and they make a joke saying, what's a monkey doing it? But white bread was high tech. So it's the same thing. The drugs and everything, medicine is white bread, basically.
Way worse than white bread.
No, but I mean, that's the idea, though. Yeah.
Yes, the metaphor. It's the same idea. The white bread was considered to be high tech, and if you ate the dark bread with all that was unprocessed and that was raw, that you were somehow less than. And this whole social elitism is a way that the population is manipulated. And I was very.
Oh no! They always tell you it's a fad. It's cool to be a slave, and the yuppies go run off the nearest cliff. Stay there. We're going to come right back. You're going to have the floor. We're going to break down the cholesterol conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to have your brain rot. They're murdering you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so frustrating to know Ted Anderson for 15 years, to have been up hunting with him and fishing many times in Minnesota, to know his family, to know his sons and daughters. And he says, no, use the story. He goes, I'm going to respect my father and mother. He's the owner of the Genesis Network. One of the biggest, have almost 1,000 affiliates with all their hosts right now. One of the biggest. It's right behind Talk Radio Network and Clear Channel. And his dad knew who he was again. In just a few months, it was miraculous with the Youngevity Products from InfoWarsHealth.com. And his doctor said go off of him, and he didn't know who he is again. But the doctor is now God. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, explaining to people. We just played CBN with just one angle of this. Your knowledge, I'm not just saying this is light years ahead of it. This is primitive grasping in the dark with those guys. But God bless them. That's the trail of knowledge. They'll get into higher terrain someday. What is going on in the brain? What is happening? All I knew was my uncle was told, have these type of fats in your diets, coconut oil, but also other oils, and you'll stop having seizures, and it really helped him. What is going on here? What's happening in the brain? What does the system not want us to know? But not just about trying to reverse and having success against Alzheimer's and the epidemic of neurological disorders. Now they're saying young people are getting it, or all the other neurological disorders, but also ways to boost the brain. Break this down for us.
Alex, what we're experiencing is a global breakdown of the body. Human beings are breaking down. And when you think about all the stuff that's going on, all the things that we're ingesting, all the things that we're breathing, the way that we're eating, our nutritional deficiencies, fluoride in the water, it would be crazy to think it could be otherwise. So the body is breaking down, or all of our bodies are breaking down. The 4 systems in the body that break down the quickest, and these are the systems that move the fastest, are the digestive system, the skin, the cardiovascular system, and the nervous system and the brain. These are systems that are moving fast, they're using up energy, and under conditions of global breakdown, these are going to be the systems that suffer the most. So when Dr. Blaylock, whose work is tremendous, and I'm a big fan of Dr. Blaylock, when he says it's inflammation, he's hit the nail right on the head. What we're experiencing in the brain is inflammation, and when there is inflammation, by inflammation I'm talking microscopic inflammation, not the kind of inflammation that most of us think about when we think of inflammation. We think of like a swollen ankle or something. I'm talking micro-inflammation at the nerve level. When you get this inflammatory process locally at the nerve level, cells break down. They begin to get dysfunctional. They die. When they die, they leave more inflammatory factors. There's a component of the brain called the glia, which is like the glue. It's almost as if the brain were raisin bread and nerve cells are raisins, and the glia is the bread. And this stuff called the glia is where a lot of these inflammatory factors start to build up. And you get a global breakdown of brain health in the same fashion as happens in the heart, in the skin, in the digestive tract, and really in all the systems of the body, but in those 4 systems primarily. So the way you address the brain is the way you address anything. You give the body nutrients. You remove the toxins. You do the things that the body needs to have done.
And that's what Blaylock says. No MSG, no aspartame.
No, exactly.
They allow in all the fast food restaurants. When I first heard this a decade ago, I didn't believe it, and I searched it. Search McNuggets have plastic in them, or McNuggets have silicone, and it's CNN. They're allowed to put plastic in there. I mean, this, because they call it an additive. Let's expand on this, though. What's happening with the explosions of Alzheimer's and neurological disorders, and what have you found? Why did this happen with Ted Anderson's dad? Why did he get on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the EFAs that Dr. Wallach has set up, and the OsteoFX? Why did it cause that reversal?
The beautiful thing about the body is the more deficient we are, the faster the body absorbs nutrients. The sicker we are, the faster we recover. And the systems that recover the quickest are the skin, the heart, or the circulatory system, the digestive system, and the brain. So when you start a nutritional supplement program, the first thing you notice is you're thinking more clearly, you have better brain function, you have better memory, you have better learning, in addition to skin diseases start to improve, digestive ailments start to improve, and your circulatory health issues will start to improve as well. These are the things you notice, and you notice them quickly. And that's the beautiful thing about the nutritional supplement program that we're talking about here. When you get yourself on a nutritional supplement program, it does not take long for you to notice results. It's not like you have to wait 30 days. Ted noticed results. Ted's dad would notice results within days, within 1 or 2 days.
But again, this is my point. I understand all that. What I want to get into is, because I heard you on your show, I think it was Wednesdays when I set you up for the broadcast, breaking down cholesterol, the brain, how it affects hormones. I want to get into that in the next segment, but right now, I want to talk about the system. I'm not just up here saying this. I just played CBN saying it. I just heard all these pharmacists and doctors and people on the radio breaking it down. They know this. These pharmacists were talking about just flaxseed oil, fish oil, the EFAs, the coconut oil, about how it's across the board. It's like the system knows this. If we get this out, we can save a lot of people, unless the chronic inflammation goes too far and damages the brain too much. Then you're so brain damaged, it just stops the brain damage process, but it's already too far gone. That's what Dr. Blaylock says.
Well, you don't want to get to the place where it's too far gone, but there's a lot you can do before it's too far gone. A lot you can do. And one of the most important things, Alex, is not to participate by eating the kinds of foods that we're conditioned to eat. We're entranced to participate in a system that is systematically designed to kill us. We're willing participants in this system. And there's no more classic example than to take a statin drug. When you take a statin drug, you are voluntarily going to take your poison, voluntarily going to take your suicide pill, because that statin drug, no matter what the statistics tell you, from a biochemical standpoint, cannot help but shorten your life. Did you hear that, how important that is? Anybody on a statin drug should understand this. Taking a statin drug cannot help but shorten your life from a biochemical standpoint. Now, I'm not talking about, are there studies to show it, or are there clinicals that prove it? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking strictly from a biochemical standpoint. You're adding to the poison load that your body has to deal with on top of already overloaded poison.
Okay, so this is revolutionary. Let's just take Alzheimer's. The products we've got discounted, people can sign them, get the free shipping at InfoWarsHealth.com. Because, folks, not only does this fund our broadcast, this is stuff that I promoted for 2 years. I've seen what it does, and I've seen the medical reports out there. Dr. Wallach, you name it, they are the kings of developing the best systems. I was just talking to another national manufacturer of supplements the other day, and they said, no, these Youngevity systems are the best. What would you tell, in the 1 minute we've got before break, somebody who's having neurological breakdown, what they grab bag call Alzheimer's, what would you tell them to go on?
Beyond Tangy Tangerine, first and foremost, and I'll tell you why. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine is a high concentration of nutrients that are specific for stress and specific for the brain, namely the B vitamins and vitamin C. And you get a seriously mega dose of this stuff. And by
so
the
they've
way,
got brain scurvy, yeah.
Basically, it's like brain scurvy, exactly. Vitamin C is a major anti-inflammatory vitamin and a major anti-stress vitamin. And the B complex is very important for neural conduction. And then there's the minerals in the BTT, and it all comes in a potable, in a drinkable format. And that's the neat thing, and that's what I'm always telling people about that Beyond Tangy Tangerine. I know people get sick of hearing about it, whatever. I've been doing this for 16 years, Alex, almost 17 years with Youngevity Products. There was a product before BTT called Tangy Tangerine, and I have seen the results.
As we saw in Katrina, and as we are watching now in New York and New Jersey, the federal government can't and won't help you in a crisis. FEMA ran out of water and MREs in days. Electricity is still off to over 1 million people. The Red Cross, who is quick to beg for money, is now slow to react. Don't put it off any longer. Get prepared today. While you're on InfoWarsShop.com, check out these other great preparedness items. The Aquapod kit lets you store up to 65 gallons of water in your bathtub. The Pocket Socket provides you with manual electricity for small electronics like your cell phone. The Life Straw is great for your bug-out bag. And check out our complete line of Interfood products for great tasting and nutritionally dense foods that have a great shelf life. If you are looking to secure your home in a crisis, you can order Strategic Relocations, the film, a great companion to the book Strategic Relocations 3rd edition, and The Secure Home by Joel Skousen. When the time to perform arrives, the time to prepare has already passed. Get prepared now, so if a crisis strikes your home, you and your family will be secure. Go to InfoWarsShop.com.
My policy is honesty. It's so easy to only promote what I believe in. Government comes and puts a gun to your head, takes your money, and then uses it in propaganda and television media against you. We come here and promote sponsors we believe in. And by the way, Ben Fuchs is not a sponsor. He's a friend of mine and somebody I listen to who's really smart. I have lost over 40 pounds on Youngevity products. They're not even advertised as a weight loss product. Aaron Dykes lost 92 pounds. Totally transformative, going on the EFAs, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst Plus. OsteoFX. Ted Anderson was going to have surgery, went to 5 different doctors on his knee. OsteoFX, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the other products. It's because the soils have been depleted. They don't put the potash anymore in the soils. Plants will grow with 3 nutrients. You need 90. And Beyond Tangy Tangerine has 115 vegetables and fruits in it. And it's got the plant-derived minerals in it. It's got a, what is it, a ORAC score of 5,745. Nobody can top that. All the products, the whole catalog, discounted, of Youngevity is available at InfoWarsHealth.com. And I would suggest, ladies and gentlemen, that you give it a try. You can go there, sign up, become a distributor and get discounts, or sign up for auto ship and get free shipping at InfoWarsHealth.com. And we've created an incredible team of pharmacists and different types of doctors, but also just people that have been trained by them. When you call the toll-free number, they can answer all of your questions at InfoWarsHealth.com, 888-789-9277, 888-789-9277. Write it down. Call them today. They're there. Or call them tomorrow, 888-789-9277. And if you want to sign up and become a distributor of the great products and be a part of the InfoWars team, 877-551-1301. You can get big discounts doing that as well. My dad promotes it. My dad, like 2 years ago, was like, oh, yeah, vitamins, minerals. I know they're good, but I've got my own garden and I blah, blah, blah. He's like, whoa. My mother, a triathlete, is like, man, this took me back 10 years. You know, turn the clock back. I only promote what I believe in. And Dr. Wallach, who founded this company 17 years ago, he knows what he's doing. And it dovetails with all the other doctors I've interviewed, medical doctors like Blaylock and others. And then I play CBN with a medical doctor. Her husband doesn't know who he is. And in 2 weeks he does on one oil. And they're telling you, oh, oils are all bad. But if you want to go to the local hamburger place and eat plastic in the dough, that's okay. All right, I'm going to give you the floor here. But I keep going back to the system. I know you're about the solution, but people don't understand. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, syndicated radio host, researcher, one of the biggest compounding pharmacies in your state, Colorado. Go over the molecular breakdown, because this is a conspiracy. I mean, I know you like to be a nice guy, but medical doctors now are great if your leg's broken, great if you're in a car wreck. A lot of them are nice men and women, but they have the lowest longevity of anybody I know. Talk about those statistics. Dead doctors.
That's a great point. Let me tell you something about doctors. If you went to the IRS and you told them, here's my tax forms, I doctored them, what would they say? See, doctoring, when we doctor, we create a false impression. To doctor something is to manipulate something so it appears to be one way when it really isn't. So when we say we doctor, even the etymological nature of the word itself implies some kind of falsity or some kind of fraudulence.
Monkeying.
This tinkering around, something that's not legit. And that's the problem, because doctors are not biochemists. Their job is to jury rig the system and charge you for it. Our job is to take care of the system. And this is why nutrition is so important. This is why what I talk about is so important. We can't really blame the doctors for what they do. It's the medical model, and it's the manipulation. You know, there may be an element of profiteering that's involved. There may be an element of social engineering. Somebody called last hour. He was talking about social engineering. I thought that was very interesting, because certainly we are engineered through our health. But the bottom line, Alex, is we can take care of it ourselves. We can fix ourselves. We don't need to go to a doctor. This is the message that I talk about on the bright side every day. We don't need doctors unless you get hit by a bus, unless you need something.
But what's amazing is, what's the average life expectancy? It's 74 in the U.S. Our life expectancy is dropping. But for doctors, it's something like 56. I mean, these guys are incredibly unhealthy. And I've seen studies that the most unhealthy food in the country is in hospitals.
Oh, my God. Have you seen, they have McDonald's in hospitals. Have you seen the kind of food you don't go to hospital? There's a subset of the population that goes to the hospitals a lot. And this subset of the population is the same subset that interfaces with the medical model. You and I aren't interfacing with the medical model to the extent that a large subset of the population is. So when they say there's 4 billion prescriptions served in this country, I don't take any prescriptions, and I know a lot of people who don't take any prescriptions. That means somebody's taken 24 or 36 or 48 prescriptions, and it's a very significant, it's well into the tens, perhaps even in hundreds of millions of people. And so the bottom line is, Alex, nobody's forcing us to go through the drive-through. We are entranced, we are somehow hypnotized, and there's all kinds of brain manipulation through television and advertising and marketing, and these drug companies and food companies understand our brains much better than we understand our brains. So we do have to take some initiative. We do have to put some energy into it, and that's why you got to pick up the phone and order supplements, for example. That's why you got to participate. You know, it's one thing to hear these things, but it takes a certain amount of energy to break the inertia. There's a body that's not in motion tends to not stay in motion, not go into motion. To paraphrase one of the laws of thermodynamics, is things or of physical movement. Things don't move unless you put energy into them. There's a certain inertia that has to be busted through. And so most people don't do that. But the fact of the matter is nobody's forcing us to eat the food we're eating. Nobody's forcing us to not take supplements, or nobody's preventing us yet from taking supplements. There are elements that we can participate in terms of taking care of our body that will allow us to get past this medical model, this healthcare cartel that we are confronted with. And by the way, it's about to get worse, much worse, because now the medical model is going to be codified into the law. The medical model is now going to be part of the legislature. And so generations to come are now going to be compelled to interface with the medical model to a degree that it would have been a wild dream and fantasy of a pharmaceutical executive a mere 50 or 60 years ago.
And I just put the New York Times up saying put 8-year-olds and up on statins. They're calling for putting it in the water supply. They already put sodium fluoride in the water. Specifically, getting back to the cholesterol conspiracy, I mean, they know that when they put them on statins, it literally shuts down the brain process and begins the accelerated death of the brain.
Alex, we got to talk about cholesterol for a little bit, because people don't really understand how critically important this stuff is.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. I'm just sitting here.
Okay, I was dead air. Okay, people don't understand how critically important cholesterol is. Cholesterol, number one, let me just give you a few things about cholesterol. Cholesterol is a raw material that is converted into all of your growth and youth and repair and stress-fighting hormones. That is number one. That's just the first incredibly important thing that cholesterol is. Secondly, cholesterol is a key component of the membranes that surround cells and intercellular structures. Inside of a cell, you've got hundreds of thousands of little tiny structures, and each one of those tiny structures has its own shell or membrane. So anywhere there's a membrane, you are going to find cholesterol. Thirdly, cholesterol is the most abundant of all the fatty steroid substances in the body. And anytime the body is making something that abundantly, you do not want to mess with it. Fourthly, cholesterol is highly protective. The reason it's found in blood vessels and thought to be associated with heart disease is because it's protecting the blood vessels. And so the logic of the medical model, they must know this. Biochemists all know this. So your point is well taken that perhaps, there's some insidious nefarious...
Well, let's stay there. Yeah, let's explain what's happening with the heart disease on the other side. Stay with us. It's so frustrating that government now, run by insurance companies and banks, runs healthcare. And I read the bill. It's death panels. It's cutting back on care. It's giving you a cane instead of eye surgery. It's forced drugging kids in school. They want to put all kids on Ritalin and Prozac. I mean, it's so obviously predatory, like Rick Perry lying and saying it was the law to take Gardasil shots that didn't even protect you from papilloma and cervical cancer. I mean, it's just when you research, it's all a fraud, but you still see the whole medical system just in everyone's face as we get sicker and sicker, as cancer explodes, as neurological disorders explode. And then I just read the horror stories and talk to medical doctor after medical doctor where people are put on statins and just become vegetables within a month or a few years max. And it's incredible. What would you do if you had, quote, high cholesterol? What's really going on here? And you were getting into plaques in the arteries. What's happening there?
The arteries are breaking down because of malnutrition and poor digestion, food intolerances. The body's repair mechanisms involve cholesterol. The body's protective mechanisms involve cholesterol. And this is a very important role that cholesterol plays that nobody talks about. Cholesterol is a protective substance in and of itself. And the body will send it to areas that need protection. And as the circulatory system breaks down because we're sick, because we're eating crappy food, because our digestion sucks, because we're malnourished, as the circulatory system breaks down, the body sends cholesterol to those areas. Along with the debris of broken red blood cells, you end up getting these plaques that are made up of calcium and iron and cholesterol. And what the medical model is, the hypothesis is that it's the cholesterol that's causing the heart disease. Now, it's true you have plaques there, and plaques are going to impede the flow of blood, but the problem is the global breakdown of the body. And this is so important, Alex, because the medical model wants us to look at all of the fruits of the tree.
But wasn't it like 50 plus years ago that Linus Pauling, the doctor, got 2 different Nobel Prizes, one of them for vitamin C with breakdown of arteries and things from not enough vitamin C? I mean, these people aren't getting enough vitamin C. They're eating crud all day, and they wonder why their connective tissue is degenerating.
If you want to protect yourself from high cholesterol, take vitamin C. Not only will you save a heck of a lot of money, you won't have to go to the doctor, you won't have insurance, you won't be poisoning yourself, and it'll really do something. If you take a statin drug, what you do is you suppress your body's ability to make it one of its most protective substances, perhaps its most important raw material substance, and arguably the single most functional and versatile chemical in
what about women? Women, record numbers going into early puberty, early menopause, all sorts of problems that are on these low-fat diets. How does that tie in?
Oh, that's called xenoestrogenicity. Xeno for foreign, estrogen referring to the hormone estrogen. And this is another scam that you and I should talk about sometime, and that's the idea of hormone replacement therapy and putting women on toxic estrogen. Estrogen is an extremely toxic substance. It's only supposed to be in the body in quick, short bursts. And not only do we put women on estrogen therapy, and that's a whole other scandal that we're going to talk about on the bright side for the next few days. Not only do they put women on hormone replacement therapy, but we are surrounded with these foreign estrogens. And one of the things that estrogens do is they make little girls reach puberty very early. They have a very powerful feminizing effect.
They've now moved from 14 to 10 being the average, some 3-year-olds now. And the doctor's thing is, we'll just put you on hormones to block that. Not, let's find out why you're going into puberty at 5 years old.
Well, you know what the man's version of that clinical manifestation is? The man's version is impotence, infertility, and obesity.
And boys starting to go into puberty at 15 instead of 12.
And a feminization of men.
So we're becoming feminine, and the boys' testicles aren't dropping now. Yeah, that's and the size of the male member is shrinking. That's mainstream news. They're just murdering us with the bisphenol A and all the rest of it.
Exactly, exactly. Sperm counts are dropping. Men are becoming feminized.
Oh, no, 89% drop now. It was about 80. The new numbers came in Europe and the U.S., 89. We'll soon be completely sterile. But everything's okay, pharmacist.
Be completely sterile. That's exactly it. That's what I'm telling you. It couldn't be more, if they wanted to do it in a systematic fashion, it couldn't be more perfect. And to take a drug, to be complicit, to voluntarily line up, to take a drug that prevents your body from making cholesterol, you can't help but court disaster. And all of the things that happen associated with a drop in cholesterol, things like severe muscle diseases, brain dysfunction, all of these are the manifestations of a drop in cholesterol, in addition to the toxic burden, the poison burden that taking a statin drug puts on the body. That's a whole nother issue. This burdening of the poison control system in the body. You know, the body has a poison control system, an emergency detoxifying system. And this system was not designed, let alone to take in the stuff we're breathing and drinking and eating. It most certainly was not designed to take drugs.
It's incredible, though. People think drugs are fancy, so it couldn't be the incredible InfoWars Health Ultimate Dietary Supplement, EAF, system with the flaxseed, all these special acids that have been mixed together in this proprietary system by Dr. Blaylock, by Dr. Wallach. I mean, it just couldn't be that something as simple as this would help me. No, no, no. It couldn't be Beyond Tangy Tangerine that's got everything you need. I mean, if folks do one thing, it's this. And yes, it's a win-win-win. We fund our media operation, the news, the films, all of this with things we believe in. We're not funded by taxpayers. And folks, I'm here to tell you, I searched and searched. You notice for like 15 years of 17 years on air, you didn't hear me promoting dietary supplements because I looked and looked and looked, and some were good, some were bad. This is the company. Over 300 products at InfoWarsHealth.com. Discounted. You can sign up and get free shipping. Go to InfoWarsHealth.com. Get the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Get the ultimate dietary supplement EFA with, I mean, because you're not, again, I searched saying, oh, are they really the best? This mix of fatty acids is, tell people why InfoWarsHealth.com and the products we have there are so special.
Because you'll notice results, not in 30 days and not in 2 weeks. You'll notice results, especially with the BTT, but you'll notice results with, say, the Alex Start Pack in a matter of days. In a matter of days. And the results will be visible results. They'll be the kind of results that you can see in the mirror. In other words, you're going to start to lose weight and you're going to start to look good. But what you're not going to see is that you're going to be adding years to your life. And that's really what it's all about.
Well, again, what's amazing is that so much of this was actually I already knew it. I'd read it in medical journals. The system knows this. Ben, you're too nice. I mean, the Rockefellers took over medicine, as you know, about 80 years ago. They say there's too many of us. And this whole program, I mean, this whole system is just, well, our life expectancy is going down, Ben.
We are Alex, have more doctors per capita, and we spend more money per capita on healthcare than any country in the history of the planet, and we are the sickest country in the history of the planet. Nobody notices. It's like we're in this fog, where it's like we're being hypnotized. We're in this hypnotic trance of some kind. We don't notice that we're dying on the vine. We're like a piece of fruit that's rotting on the vine.
Well, I hope people just take the challenge. I hope they get the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the EFAs, the Pollen Burst Plus, the Youngevity Osteo FX Plus, all discounted right now at InfoWarsHealth.com, and your purchase there also supports what we're doing. Every few months I like to have Ben Fuchs, the pharmacist, or a medical doctor on, or some of the other people, because I mean, I have medical doctors on who aren't, I'm not even involved with, and they say the same thing. And then I'm listening to the show yesterday on one of our local affiliates, and they've got people on and pharmacists and experts saying the same thing, and CBN saying it. I think that's the good news, Ben Fuchs, is that this stuff that I never used to hear about is now I'm hearing about it all over the place. Are you starting to see an awakening as well?
Well, you got to be careful because there's wolves everywhere. But you know what? It's an info war, and it's a war of information. And ultimately, you can't. If people are willing to participate, you can't keep people down. That's what I believe.
Well, sure, but I mean, are you not starting to hear more and more people become aware?
Or obviously more with the internet, with shows like yours. I mean, obviously more and more. Dr. Wallach's message, a lot of people are catching on to Dr. Wallach's message. Dr. Wallach's been doing this for many, many years, and it's only been the last couple of years people have started to catch on to this idea, and I find that in my practice as well. More and more people are more savvy. Younger people tend to be smarter. The older folks, they're not as hip to this. The younger folks, they tend to be a little bit more savvy.
Oh, I mean, people, every time I go to a drugstore, they go, do you want a flu shot? And I'm like, they've never guessed the proper flu shot, A. B, Canadian government study doubles your chances of getting the flu. You're not supposed to give it to pregnant women, but you say, no. They're like, oh, that's not true. I've done research. They haven't. I've had like it doesn't even matter. It's just so frustrating.
You used a great word earlier. You said predatory. It's predatory, and we're prey. And you don't have to be prey. I don't believe we have to be prey, but it is a predatory kind of thing. It's definitely
it is. God bless you, pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Thank you so much. I hope everybody, look, just get coconut oil. At least do that. At least realize, ladies and gentlemen, that your brain's made out of fats. Go do the research. The statins are a death sentence, according to the medical doctors we've interviewed. I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv. We did post that CBN report about reversing the Alzheimer's with the coconut oil. Alex Jones here with some very important breaking news. The latest edition of InfoWars magazine, December 2012, is out. And no, we don't really cover people that think that the world is going to end on December 21st. We are predicting the world will not end, but we are predicting that the end of our free republic may take place if people don't wake up and get aggressive and angry and speak out against what's happening. This man wants your guns. That is the cover of the 60-page glossy magazine, jam-packed with information and the truth. And you know what they say, the truth will set you free. You can buy the magazine at cost in bulk in groups of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right up to 100 to give everyone you know. And believe me, people will open this up. It is full of unbelievably powerful graphics, cartoons. We've got artist profiles on patriots out there that are exposing the globalists. And it's got several articles breaking down the facts that Obama and his globalist controllers want to disarm the American people and are going to try to ban all semi-autos. The facts are in this magazine, and this is the most important of the 4 issues we have ever put out. And when you do sign up for the subscription, you don't just get 12 in the mail. When supplies last of the previous issues, we will put back issues like the November issue, Zombies, Are You a Zombie? Breaking down how television has put the general public into a trance-like state. You will get that when you sign up for the next 12 issues in December of 2012. Now, you're out there watching saying, Alex, we know all about the New World Order, and yes, the magazine's a great thing, but why should we support it? Well, you're also supporting free speech and print 2.0. With the internet kill switches coming in and all the rest of this, it's important to have physical copies that are out there, just like the founders did in the 10 years leading up to the Revolutionary War in 1776. They put out their little primitive broadsheets printed on both sides, pointing out the crimes of the crown, and that helped organize and awake the public to finally win the physical victory when war and conflict unfortunately came. My goal is to expose the globalist and to win the info war so it doesn't become a physical war. We've seen Hillary Clinton saying that they're winning the info war. Top globalist Zbigniew Brzezinski says that nationalism is growing and that people are waking up against outside forces because of populism and alternative media. This particular issue of the magazine is the one to give friends and family. It's the one to put under the tree or in the stocking. It's the one to leave at church. It's the one to leave at the dentist office. This is the one, the December issue of InfoWars magazine with Ron Paul, the attack on the Second Amendment, the police state, the GMO takeover. It's all there and all available at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Get your subscription or buy the magazines in bulk today. I'm Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com. Until next time, remember, if you're watching this, if you're receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.